You ever notice how people treat time like it's free refills at a diner? They act like you can just pour another glass whenever you want, like there's some secret stash of hours hiding in the back room. But time doesn't work like that. Time is the one thing you can't borrow, can't save, can't refund. Once it's spent, it's gone, and yet people hand it out to folks who couldn't care less. You give your minutes, your days, your years to people who don't even value their own, let alone yours. And the crazy part, you defend it, you tell yourself stories, excuses, reasons why they deserve what they haven't earned. Meanwhile, life is moving, the clock is ticking, and your future is sitting in the corner wondering when you're finally going to stop wasting your life on people who don't care. The truth is simple. If someone doesn't match your energy, if they don't value your presence, then every moment you give them is stolen from the people who actually would. Time is the real currency of life, and the sooner you stop spending it on the wrong ones, the richer you'll become. Time is the one thing everybody spends, but nobody can ever get back. You can lose money, you can lose possessions, even lose opportunities, and with enough effort you might rebuild them, replace them, or find new ones. But time, once it's gone, it's gone. No refunds, no returns, no receipts, and that's what makes it the most valuable currency we've got. Even though most people treat it like it's unlimited pocket change, people waste hours like they've got a secret stash hidden somewhere, as if tomorrow is guaranteed. And that illusion is what keeps them stuck giving their minutes to people who don't care. Think about it. If your bank account showed you only had a limited amount of money left, you'd be careful with every dollar. You wouldn't hand it out to strangers who didn't value it. You wouldn't spend it on junk you didn't need. But when it comes to time, people act like they're billionaires tossing it around on anyone and anything without thinking twice. The irony is that money can be saved, earned, and borrowed, but time is only spent. You don't know the balance, you can't check the account, and you can't add more to it. That's why wasting it on people who don't care is like flushing gold down the toilet. And the trickiest part? Time doesn't scream when you lose it. It slips away quietly. You spend an hour trying to convince someone to value you, and it feels small. You spend a few weeks chasing someone who keeps ignoring you, and it feels like maybe it's just effort. Then suddenly you look up and months or years are gone, invested in people who didn't give back, who didn't show up, who didn't care. That's when it hits you. Every minute you poured into them was time you could have spent on yourself, on your goals, on people who actually deserved it. That's the brutal cost. People who don't care won't stop you from giving. They'll take all the time and energy you're willing to hand out, because why not? It benefits them. They don't have to pay anything back. You're the one footing the bill. And by the time you realize it, the balance is already spent. That's why the responsibility to protect your time falls on you. Nobody's going to value it more than you do. If you treat it like it's worthless, they will too. The harsh reality is that your time is your life. Every moment wasted is a piece of your life you don't get to relive. And when you finally see it for what it is, you start to understand that the biggest mistake isn't just losing time, it's giving it away freely to people who never cared in the first place. Respect is one of those things people love to demand but rarely bother to give back. Everybody talks about how much they deserve it, how much they expect it, but real respect isn't a slogan, it's an exchange. It only works when both sides recognize each other's value. The moment it turns one-sided, it stops being respect and turns into exploitation. If you find yourself constantly giving, adjusting, sacrificing, while the other person just sits there taking without offering anything in return, then you're not in a balanced relationship. You're being drained. And the truth is, someone like that isn't part of your circle. They're just standing in your way, slowing you down while you try to carry them. Think about what a circle really means. A circle represents balance, equality, and protection. Everyone inside it is supposed to contribute to add strength, to keep it whole. But if someone inside that circle doesn't respect you, they're not helping to hold it together, they're weakening it. You're pouring energy into keeping them close, but all they do is create cracks. Instead of feeling supported, you feel like you're walking on eggshells, constantly proving your worth while they barely acknowledge it. That's not respect, that's charity work. The dangerous thing about one-sided respect is how easy it is to rationalize it. You start making excuses for their lack of effort. You tell yourself they're just busy, that they show care in different ways, that if you give them more time, they'll eventually meet you halfway. But deep down, you know the truth. Respect isn't complicated. If someone values you, it shows in their actions, in the way they speak to you, in how they show up even when it's inconvenient. If you're left guessing, waiting, hoping for signs, it means the respect isn't there. The longer you keep giving in a one-sided setup, the more it chips away at your sense of worth. You start to think maybe this is normal, maybe you're supposed to work twice as hard for half the return. But it's not normal. It's conditioning. You're training yourself to accept less than you deserve, while the other person is being trained to expect everything without giving anything back. That cycle only stops when you recognize that real respect doesn't demand explanations, it doesn't drain you, and it doesn't leave you feeling invisible. At the end of the day, someone who only takes from you isn't really walking with you. They're not building with you. They're not protecting you. They're simply blocking the path you should be taking with people who truly care. Respect is supposed to elevate you, not hold you hostage. If it's not mutual, it's not respect at all. It's a weight you're carrying that keeps you from moving forward. Energy is one of those things we don't see but feel every single day, and whether we notice it or not, it shapes how we move through the world. Sit with someone who's full of drive, passion, and positivity, and you can feel it rub off on you. Suddenly, your ideas flow easier, your mood lifts, and you start believing bigger things are possible. That's the power of being around people who care. They fuel you just by showing up, by matching your energy, by reminding you that you're not crazy for wanting more out of life. But the opposite is also true. Spend enough time with people who don't care, and you'll feel yourself drained, weighed down, second-guessing everything. It's not just about what they do or don't do. It's the silent transfer of energy that happens whenever you're in their space. People who don't care usually carry a heavy vibe. They show it in how they talk, how they act, how they treat the things that matter to you. You could come in excited, ready to share good news, and they'll shrug like it's nothing. You could be struggling and looking for support, and they'll dismiss it or change the subject. That indifference eats at you because energy thrives on response. When someone cares, they pour back into you, and that exchange creates growth. When someone doesn't care, it's like throwing seeds on concrete. Nothing grows, and eventually you start to wonder if planting was even worth it. It's not just emotional either. Being around people who don't care physically drains you. You feel tired after conversations with them, like you've been carrying all the weight alone. That's because you're the only one giving. You're giving attention, effort, patience, while they're just coasting on what you provide. It's like trying to run while someone keeps hitting the brakes. You're burning energy just to stay in place. Over time, that leaves you burnt out, uninspired, and disconnected from the things you should actually be chasing. On the flip side, people who care act like fuel stations. Even when you're low, being around them refills you. They don't always have to say the perfect words or do big gestures. It's the consistency of their presence, the way they respond with genuine attention, the way they celebrate your wins and share your losses. That kind of energy is contagious in the best way because it pushes you to keep going, to push harder, to dream bigger. It proves that support isn't about what's convenient, it's about what's real. The danger comes when you underestimate just how contagious energy is. You think you can tough it out. That being around people who don't care won't affect you, but it always does. Their indifference becomes your doubt. Their lack of drive seeps into your own rhythm. Before long, you're mirroring their stagnation instead of chasing your own momentum. And that's the real cost. Every moment spent with people who drain you is a moment stolen from those who could actually fuel you. Life is already heavy enough without you strapping other people's baggage onto your back. Everyone has their own struggles, their own battles, their own weight to carry, and that's normal. But when you start dragging along people who don't care, people who had no intention of moving forward with you, you're signing up for exhaustion that leads nowhere. Dead weight doesn't move. It doesn't matter how hard you pull, how much you sacrifice, or how many times you stop to catch your breath. If the person on the other end has no interest in taking steps, then all you're doing is wearing yourself out. Carrying people who don't care is like running a race with someone clinging to your legs. You think your loyalty is noble? You think you're being strong by not leaving them behind, but all you're really doing is slowing your own progress. Every dream takes energy, every goal takes focus, every step forward requires momentum. When that momentum is divided between moving yourself and dragging someone who's not even trying, you cut your chances of success in half. Eventually, you'll start resenting the very people you're trying to save because their lack of care keeps you from reaching where you need to go. The hardest part is that a lot of this dead weight comes disguised as loyalty. You tell yourself you can't move on without them, that you owe them your energy. That real love or friendship means never letting go. But loyalty without reciprocity isn't loyalty, it's self-destruction. If they don't care enough to walk beside you, then you're not helping them by dragging them. You're just preventing yourself from arriving. You can't carry someone into growth. They have to want it for themselves. And it's not just about your progress. Carrying people who don't care crushes your spirit. It chips away at your motivation. You start to lose sight of why you were even moving in the first place. Instead of being focused on your destination, you're stuck managing someone else's dead energy, apologizing for their absence of effort, and explaining their indifference to yourself over and over again. It's like climbing a mountain while holding someone who's asleep in your arms. You'll never make it to the top because they're not awake for the climb. The truth is, letting go of dead weight feels brutal at first. It feels like abandonment, like you're being cold, like you're betraying someone you care about. But over time, You realize that letting go isn't betrayal, it's survival. You can still love people from a distance. You can still wish them well without shackling yourself to their refusal to grow. Because if they don't care enough to take even one step for themselves, why should you be carrying the whole journey for both of you? Life doesn't give you forever, but people act like it does. The clock is always moving, and the older you get, the faster you realize it. Yet in the middle of that reality, folks will spend years making excuses for people who've already shown they don't care. Instead of facing the truth head on, they wrap themselves up in explanations and justifications, in these long, drawn-out stories that try to make sense of why someone can't give them the bare minimum of respect or attention. Life is short, but excuses are long, and the longer you tell those stories, the more of your own time you're throwing away. Excuses become a trap because they feel like patience. You think you're being understanding, that you're giving someone the benefit of the doubt. They cancel plans and you say, oh, they're just busy. They don't call back, and you tell yourself they're going through a lot. They show you indifference, and you reframe it as them being bad at expressing feelings. But every excuse stretches the leash longer, and before you know it, you've wasted months or years waiting for someone to become the version of themselves you keep imagining in your head. The brutal truth is, the version you're waiting for may never show up, because the person in front of you is who they are. Life doesn't pause while you rationalize. Every minute spent excusing their absence is a minute you lose for yourself. You don't get refunds for time wasted waiting on someone else to change. Meanwhile, they're not stressing about it. People who don't care aren't sitting around worrying about how you feel. They're living their lives doing what benefits them, while you sit at home writing novels in your mind about why they act the way they do. Those novels don't add chapters to your life, they steal them. Excuses also drain your self-worth. The more you justify someone else's behavior, the more you start lowering the standard for yourself. You begin to believe that being ignored, dismissed, or undervalued is something you should tolerate because they have reasons. But the reality is, simple people who care find ways. People who don't find excuses. And when you let their excuses become yours, you're not only wasting your time, you're training yourself to expect less from the people around you. The tragedy is that by the time you see it clearly, you've already given up years of energy. You look back and realize how many moments you have spent building yourself, chasing your goals, surrounding yourself with people who actually care. Instead, you were stuck in limbo, defending the actions of someone who didn't deserve the defense. Life is too short for that. You don't get extra days added to your life for being understanding. You just lose the days you already had. And excuses will always be endless if you keep choosing to write them. But your life isn't endless. The longer you explain their behavior, the more of your own you let slip away. Focus is one of the most valuable forces you can control, because wherever your focus goes, your energy follows. People think power comes from money, talent, or connections, but the real foundation of power is attention. What you choose to concentrate on determines what grows, and what you neglect eventually fades. That's why focus is power, and the dangerous mistake so many people make is directing it toward people who don't care. When your energy is scattered on those who won't invest back, you rob yourself of the chance to pour it into those who truly matter. Think about it like a light. A flashlight with scattered beams barely lights up anything, but when it's concentrated, it can cut through darkness. Focus works the same way. If you spread yourself thin, chasing validation from people who don't value you, you dim your own potential. But when you cut out the noise and choose to invest only in those who care, your impact multiplies. The irony is that most people know this deep down, yet they still give their sharpest energy to the wrong places, arguing with people who aren't listening, chasing approval from people who aren't watching, sacrificing for people who aren't grateful. That's focus wasted, and wasted focus is wasted power. Investing in people who matter doesn't just mean surrounding yourself with cheerleaders. It means choosing relationships where the energy flows both ways. When you pour into someone who values you, they pour back, and that creates momentum. You feel supported, your ideas grow stronger, and your drive becomes harder to shake. You stop wasting time explaining your worth, and instead you use that time building something with people who already see it. That's the kind of exchange that turns focus into fuel. But here's the thing, your focus has limits. You don't get an endless supply. Every ounce of attention you give to dead weight is attention stolen from those who could have lifted you higher. You can't hold on to people who don't care and still expect to give your best to the ones who do. The more space you leave for the wrong ones, the less room you create for the right ones. And that's the hidden cost, not just the time lost, but the opportunities you never saw because you were too distracted carrying the wrong people. Focus is also about discipline. It's easy to get caught up in trying to fix or convince someone, especially when emotions are involved. But every time you refocus on someone who doesn't care, you dilute your own power. Power grows with clarity. It grows when you decide exactly where your energy is going and refuse to waste it elsewhere. The truth is, the more you sharpen your focus on those who truly matter, the less tolerance you'll have for dead weight. It's not about being cold, it's about being clear. You can't win your race if you keep stopping to drag people who don't even want to run. At the end of the day, life isn't about how many people you can carry, convince, or chase. It's about where your time, energy, and focus go, because those things are your real wealth. Stop handing them out to people who don't care, because they're not coming back. Respect only counts when it's mutual. Energy only multiplies when it's shared, and progress only happens when you drop the dead weight. Excuses will keep you stuck, distractions will drain you, and waiting for people who've already shown you their indifference will rob you of the life you're supposed to be living. Focus on the ones who matter, the ones who show up, the ones who fuel you instead of empty you, because once you realize how short this ride really is, you'll understand that wasting it on people who don't care isn't just a mistake. It's the fastest way to lose yourself. Protect your time, guard your respect, choose your circle wisely, and remember this: your life is too valuable to be lived as somebody else's afterthought.